You've got to learn to say no to what's easy, or life will keep saying no to what you want. That's the real truth about instant gratification. It's not just wasting your time, it's stealing your future. Every time you pick what's quick and easy, you lose a little strength. You skip the gym, you put off the work, you scroll when you should be focused. And soon, weeks go by and nothing's changed. But here's the good news, you can fix it. You can train yourself to wait. You can build the discipline to choose what matters. This video will show you exactly how to do it. Simple, clear, and real. No fluff, just the truth that works. Stay with me. Number 1, stop chasing easy wins and handle what's unfinished. That's where real change begins. See, most people never stop to look at how many things they've left halfway done. They jump from one thing to another. They start something, it gets hard, it gets boring. It stops giving that little hit of excitement, and they drop it. They say, I'll come back to it, but they rarely do. And then they wonder why they don't feel proud, why they feel like they're always behind, why nothing changes. I'll tell you why. It's because they're chasing the feeling, not the result. They're chasing what's easy, what's exciting, what gives a fast reward. But the truth is, easy wins don't build anything that lasts. They don't make you stronger. They don't earn you respect. They don't move your life forward. Finishing what you started, now that's where real progress comes from. You've got to learn to sit with the boring part. You've got to face the hard part of a goal and stay there until it's done. Not until you're tired, not until you're bored, until it's finished. And that takes self-respect. That takes maturity. That takes the willingness to do things even when no one is clapping for you. Most people only act when they feel good. That's not discipline. That's convenience. And convenience is a trap. Every time you choose something quick and easy, you're reinforcing a pattern. You're telling your brain, we don't have to push through. We don't finish things here. We just jump to whatever feels better. And what that does over time is it kills your ability to focus. It chips away at your confidence. Because deep down, you know you're running from the hard stuff. And deep down, you know you're leaving things behind. Unfinished work creates mental clutter. You carry it around. You try to ignore it, but it's there. The book you didn't finish, the project you quit on, the goal you left halfway because you didn't feel like continuing. All those loose ends start weighing you down. They steal your energy. They steal your clarity. You can't think straight when you've got a pile of half-done promises sitting in the back of your mind. So what do? You go back, not to everything, but to the things that matter. You look at your life and ask, what am I still avoiding that I need to finish? Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a routine. Maybe it's a plan you abandoned because results didn't come fast enough. Whatever it is, face it, pick it back up, handle it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be finished. I'll tell you this, people respect finishers. You respect yourself more when you finish. You walk a little taller when you keep your word to yourself. You speak differently. You stop needing outside approval because you know you followed through. That's real self-esteem. It doesn't come from praise. It comes from discipline. Now look, it's tempting to chase little wins all day long. Watch another video, check another notification, start a new plan, buy a new journal, and for a moment it feels good. You feel productive, but you didn't actually move anything forward. You just filled the time. You avoided what really needed your attention. Easy wins feel good now, but cost you later. Hard work feels tough now, but pays you later. That's the truth, and it's uncomfortable, but it's real. When you wake up and all you want is something quick, stop. Ask yourself, what did I leave yesterday that still needs me today? Start there. Work through it. Don't leave the room until it's done. That builds something inside you. That changes your relationship with yourself. Success doesn't come from scattered effort. It comes from consistent effort. It comes from showing up and finishing things, one by one, day after day. Not perfectly, but completely. Some people are always starting over because they never finish. They don't realize that starting something new doesn't fix the feeling of failure. Finishing does. Closing the loop. Following through. That's what builds momentum. That's what creates belief. You can't build belief on half-built bridges. Stop chasing that little dopamine rush. Stop needing a reward every 5 minutes. You're not a child. You're capable of more. You're capable of focus. You're capable of finishing. You just haven't trained that muscle, but it's in you. Here's a strategy. Make a list of everything you've started but haven't finished in the last 30 days. Pick one thing, just one, and make it your mission to complete it today. Don't add anything new until that's done. Then pick the next, and the next. That's how you take your power back. That's how you stop feeling behind. You close open loops. And while you're doing that, cut the noise. Cut the distractions. Cut the habits that pull your focus in 10 different directions. Give yourself time to actually get into your work. Real progress doesn't come in short bursts. It comes from deep work, quiet work, focused work. And that only happens when you stop reaching for something new every 10 minutes. It's not about doing more. It's about finishing what you started. That's what brings results. That's what brings clarity. That's what builds trust with yourself. Don't wait until it feels good. Don't wait until you're motivated. Do it because you said you would. Do it because you respect yourself enough to finish things. That's where the power is. The world doesn't need more people chasing excitement. It needs more people who can sit down, focus, and finish what matters. That's rare now. And that's why it's valuable. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to know everything. You need to do what you already know. You don't need another shortcut. You need to finish what you started. That's how you win. Not by chasing what's easy, but by handling what's unfinished. That's the truth. That's the work. And that's the difference between a life of noise and a life that matters. Number 2, catch yourself wasting time and stop it right there. You've got to catch yourself in the moment, that split second when your hand reaches for the phone or your mind wanders to something easy. That's the moment that matters. Most people lose time in tiny pieces. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. They think it doesn't count. But it adds up, and before they know it, the day's gone. No progress, no wins. Just moments lost. You've got to become aware of it. You've got to interrupt it. The second you notice yourself slipping, stop it right there. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. Just stop. Redirect yourself to what matters. The truth is, wasting time doesn't always look dramatic. It looks normal. Checking things, clicking around, thinking you'll start soon. You don't even notice it until hours disappear. That's how instant gratification hides. It doesn't knock. It sneaks in. It makes you believe you're doing something, but deep down you know the truth. You're avoiding something harder, something more important, something that would actually move you forward. That's why you've got to catch it fast, not later, right when it starts. Because the longer you stay in it, the harder it is to pull away. Awareness is your first line of defense. And once you catch it, you don't argue with it. You don't tell yourself, it's only 5 minutes, or I'll do it after this. That's the trap. That's the voice that's kept you stuck. You can't entertain that. You cut it off. Immediately, you go back to what you were supposed to do. You sit back down. You restart the task. You open the thing you've been putting off. That's how you take control. Not by having a perfect system, but by stopping yourself in real time, right when the distraction shows up. That's discipline. It's not complicated. It's a decision. Most people know they're wasting time. They just don't stop themselves. They think there's no damage in letting it happen for a little while. But every time you do that, you're building the habit of escape. You're teaching your brain that whenever something feels hard or boring, you get to run. That destroys your ability to focus. It weakens your mental stamina. And it keeps you on a cycle where nothing gets finished. And everything feels heavy. If you want to feel better about your life, don't scroll more. Don't rest more. Just stop wasting time and handle your business. There's power in doing what you said you would do. There's peace in knowing you didn't let distractions run your day. That kind of self-respect isn't loud. It's private. It's built in the small decisions nobody sees. The moment you close the wrong tab, the moment you cancel the pointless break, the moment you stay on the task, even when your brain is screaming to quit. Those are the wins that count. They may not feel like much in the moment, but over time they turn into results. They turn into progress. That's what builds a strong foundation. You don't need more time. You need to stop throwing away the time you already have. And to do that, you've got to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what am I really doing right now? If it's not building your mind, your body, your business, your peace, or your future, it's probably just filling space. And filling space is not the same as building a life. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to catch the pattern and break it. Over and over. Until staying focused becomes natural. Until finishing things feels normal. That's the real shift. Instant gratification wants you to feel good right now. But you know how that ends. The same day, same week, same results. No growth, no change. And after a while, it gets frustrating. You start feeling behind. But it's not because you're lazy or broken. It's because your time is leaking in places you're not watching. And if you keep ignoring it, the gap between where you are and where you want to be only grows wider. That's why awareness is everything. That's why you stop it right there. The second you notice it, that's how you change direction. You don't have to do everything right today. You just need to stop doing the things that waste your potential. You know what they are. Everyone does. They're the habits you keep justifying, the breaks that turn into hours, the simple distractions that kill momentum. The truth about instant gratification is that it doesn't give you anything lasting. It just steals your focus. You have goals, you have people counting on you, and most importantly, you have a future waiting to be built. But none of that happens until you stop wasting time and return to your work. One of the most powerful things you can do for your confidence is simply show yourself that you're in control. Not of the world, not of outcomes, but of yourself, of your time, of your choices. That's power. And you gain it by taking it back in small moments. When you sit down and stay down. When you feel the urge to quit and don't. When you catch yourself drifting and snap out of it. That's how you become the person you keep thinking about becoming. Not in theory, in action. In the choices you make every single hour. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait to feel ready. Just start paying attention. When your focus breaks, bring it back. When you catch yourself wasting time, don't explain it. Just stop it right there. The more you do that, the sharper your mind becomes. The more energy you'll feel. The more control you'll have. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped running from it. You faced it. And that's where real growth begins. Not in the big wins, but in the small moments you refuse to let go to waste. That's how you escape the trap of instant gratification. Number 3. Build self-respect by showing up when it's tough. Self-respect doesn't come from doing what's easy. It's built when you show up in the middle of discomfort, when you continue through pressure, and when you don't quit just because something feels hard. Most people want to feel good before they act, but that's not how self-respect is created. It comes from pushing through when your mind wants to stop. You don't build character in comfort. You build it when you keep going on the days when everything in you wants to take the shortcut. The strength you develop in those moments becomes the foundation of your self-worth. The real test is how you act when no one's watching. Will you show up when no one tells you to? Will you stick to your word when it's not exciting anymore? This is where people get it wrong. They think motivation should carry them. But the truth is, motivation fades. What lasts is the ability to show up regardless of how you feel. That's where pride comes from. That's where belief in yourself begins. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent in tough times. That's the kind of consistency that builds real confidence and long-term results. Every day, life will give you a reason to delay, to rest longer, to avoid doing what needs to be done. That's how instant gratification plays its game. It shows up dressed as relief. It whispers that there's always tomorrow. And if you keep listening, you'll stay stuck. You'll build a pattern of backing out when things get uncomfortable. You'll always need to feel good before doing good work. But when you break that cycle and act in difficulty, you gain control. And that control becomes the starting point of your personal strength and discipline. You start to trust yourself in a different way when you stop running from the hard stuff. There's something powerful about looking back at your day and knowing you showed up when it was tough. That kind of effort doesn't always bring instant rewards, but it gives you something deeper, dignity. You stop looking for people to tell you you're doing well because you already know. You were there, you stayed when others walked away. You pushed when the comfort of quitting was right there. That feeling can't be given to you. It's something you earn through real action. You don't have to feel brave to act strong. You just have to act. Showing up when it's tough doesn't mean you have to enjoy it. It means you're committed to a bigger goal than just how you feel right now. When you act in alignment with your long-term goals, especially in hard moments, you build a new identity. You start becoming someone who doesn't back down, someone who finishes, someone who handles things. That's how you create real transformation. Not in your environment, but in how you see yourself. And once that changes, everything else begins to shift with it. There's a reason people repeat the same patterns for years. They keep avoiding the hard part. They pick the fun task, the easy fix, the quick answer. They don't stay with difficulty long enough to see growth. And over time, that avoidance becomes normal. But you're not stuck. You're just untrained. You haven't yet practiced the habit of staying with discomfort long enough to see change. That's what this is about. Training yourself to act through challenge. Not just once, not just when it's dramatic, but every day, in small moments, quietly, privately. That's how you become solid inside. Think about the days when everything felt heavy, but you still showed up. Those are the days you'll remember. Not because they were fun, but because they changed you. You proved to yourself that you don't need perfect conditions to act. You proved that discipline is stronger than impulse. That purpose is more important than comfort. The world respects people who do what's needed, not just what's easy. And the respect you get from yourself, that's the foundation of every other success. It makes you reliable, focused, and clear. It becomes who you are, not just what you try to be. Most of your progress won't be visible at first. You'll show up and nothing will feel different. You'll keep going and wonder if it's working. But it is. Every time you act in hard moments, you're planting something inside you. You're proving to yourself that you're not ruled by feelings. You're choosing your path with intention. And the longer you stay on that path, the more momentum builds. That momentum turns into progress. That progress turns into pride. And that pride turns into power. You'll begin to feel like someone who can handle anything, because you've done it before. People talk a lot about success, but they often forget that it starts with small private decisions. Waking up and showing up when your body says no. Starting the work even when your mind looks for reasons not to. Turning down what's easy and choosing what's needed. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you move from average to strong. There's no secret to it, no fast track, just the willingness to push through when it gets uncomfortable. And when you make that choice enough times, you stop needing external reward. You feel proud of yourself already. Instant gratification offers relief right now, but it always asks for something later. You end the day tired and guilty. You feel behind, even though you've been busy. But when you choose the harder path, when you stay with what matters, you gain more than just results. You gain self-respect. And that's the one thing nobody can give you or take from you. It's earned, one decision at a time. So when it gets tough, and it will show up, not for applause, not for anyone else, but because you said you would, because you know what's at stake, and because that's who you are becoming. Number 4. Wait 5 minutes before acting on any quick urge. Most people don't realize how much control they can have over their behavior by simply waiting 5 minutes. A small pause can change everything. The next time you feel an urge, whether it's to check your phone, skip a task, or avoid something important, don't move. Just stop and wait. Let that urge sit. Don't act on it. Don't feed it. Sit in it. Feel the tension. The pressure will be there, but let it pass. In most cases, that desire to do something impulsive fades. What felt urgent 5 minutes ago often feels meaningless once you've given it a moment to breathe. Instant gratification thrives on speed. It wants you to act without thinking. It pushes you to seek comfort fast and avoid effort. That's how it controls your habits. But when you delay the reaction, you take back control. You give yourself the power to choose. That 5-minute space creates clarity. It breaks the pattern. It shows you that the urge is not in charge. You are. You're not a robot. You're not helpless. You're capable of sitting with discomfort and choosing what's right over what's easy. That's the power of the pause. That's how change starts. You can't build discipline if you always act on the first feeling. That's how you stay stuck in habits that don't serve you. Waiting 5 minutes is a simple practice, but it teaches your brain something important. Not every impulse deserves action. Some things are just noise, distractions dressed up as needs. You have to learn to see them for what they are. You don't need to open that app. You don't need to avoid the task. You don't need to escape the moment. You just need to stay still and let the urgency lose its grip. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to notice the pattern. That moment when the pressure hits, and your body tenses up, and your mind tells you to do something now. That's the moment you pause. You take a breath. You remind yourself, this isn't urgent. You don't make any moves. You stay still and let the moment pass. This simple choice builds awareness, and awareness gives you the freedom to act from purpose, not from pressure. That's how you stop being reactive and start becoming intentional with your time and energy. Most urges are temporary. They don't last. But if you respond to them right away, you reinforce the habit. Every time you give in quickly, you teach your mind that discomfort must be solved instantly. But the truth is, discomfort won't hurt you. It just wants to be noticed. And once it's noticed, it usually passes. That's why waiting is powerful. It's not just about delaying a bad decision. It's about building emotional strength. It's about proving to yourself that you can feel something and not act on it. That's a major step in breaking the cycle of instant gratification. Every time you wait 5 minutes, you buy yourself space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to ask, do I really want to do this, or am I just avoiding something harder? That one question can redirect your whole day. It's not about denying pleasure or working like a machine. It's about making choices that match your goals. Quick urges often pull you in the wrong direction. They feel good now, but they move you away from where you want to be. That's the trap. And the pause is how you catch it before it takes over. When you act without thinking, you often regret it. You waste time, energy, and sometimes even opportunities. But when you slow down, even just for a few minutes, you start to see clearly. You feel the urge, and then you notice what it's covering up. Maybe you're avoiding a tough conversation. Maybe you're escaping boredom. Maybe you just don't want to deal with something. That's fine, but see it for what it is. Don't hide from it. Face it. The pause helps you do that. It gives you just enough room to choose growth over comfort, responsibility over relief. This practice might feel small, but it builds something big inside you. It strengthens your ability to lead yourself. That's the kind of strength that affects everything. Your work, your relationships, your health. It all improves when you stop reacting to every little urge. You become more focused, more steady, more clear-headed, and people notice that. But more importantly, you notice it. You begin to feel more proud of how you show up. You start trusting yourself again. That's the kind of confidence that comes from action, not talk. From small decisions that change how you live your day. There's no need to wait for a perfect system or a massive plan. Just start with 5 minutes. That's it. The next time you feel pulled towards something that's not helping you, pause. Give yourself that window. No judgment, no guilt, just a quiet decision to wait, to breathe, to observe. That's the beginning of self-control. That's how you quiet the noise and take the wheel. It may feel slow at first. It may feel awkward, but keep doing it. You'll get stronger. You'll get clearer. And that gap between impulse and action, that's where your power lives. The truth about instant gratification is that it steals your attention, your energy, and your future, all in tiny moments. You don't notice it happening until you look back and see how many chances you traded for quick relief. But you can stop it. You can interrupt the pattern. 5 minutes is all it takes to start, not forever. Just 5 minutes. Long enough to catch the urge before it becomes action. That's how you build the skill. That's how you protect your progress. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. That's how you win back your life. Number 5. Decide your actions based on goals, not feelings. If you want to change your life, you have to stop making decisions based on how you feel in the moment. Feelings are temporary. They shift constantly. One moment you feel tired. The next you're bored. Then you're overwhelmed. If you base your actions on that emotional roller coaster, you'll never stay consistent. But your goals, those don't change every hour. Your goals are steady. They exist for a reason. They reflect what matters to you. So the real choice is simple. Are you going to live by emotion or by intention? Because only one of those leads to long-term progress. There will always be moments when you don't feel like doing the work. That's not a sign to stop. That's a test. If you only take action when you're comfortable, you'll always be behind. The people who move forward aren't more motivated, they're more committed. They've made a decision that their goals are the standard, not their emotions. When you feel lazy but still get up and act, you're building a different identity. You're becoming someone who follows through. And the more you make choices based on your goals, the stronger and clearer you become. It's easy to confuse feelings with truth. You feel tired, so you say, I need rest. You feel bored, so you say, this isn't working. But feelings are not facts. They're just signals. You can acknowledge them without letting them lead. The truth is, you can be tired and still take action. You can be anxious and still get started. You can be uncomfortable and still show up. That's what it means to live by your goals. It's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about not letting them control your direction. That's a skill, and it can be trained. Start by asking yourself a simple question before every action. Is this moving me toward what I said I want? If the answer is no, stop. If it's yes, do it, no matter how you feel. That's how you bring your goals to life. Not by waiting to feel ready, but by deciding what matters most and acting on it. Most people don't follow through because they keep negotiating with their feelings. You have to stop that. You're not your mood. You're not your excuses. You're the person who can take charge and choose the harder but better path. You won't always feel like making the right choice, and that's normal. But the more often you do it anyway, the more powerful you become. Think about the last time you acted based on discipline instead of emotion. You didn't regret it. You felt proud. You felt clear. That's what you want more of. That clarity, that momentum, that belief in yourself. It's built through action. Action rooted in goals, not temporary emotions. Every time you choose the right thing when it's hard, you're rewriting who you are. You're becoming more dependable, more focused, and more in control. People who live by their goals aren't superheroes. They've just practiced doing what needs to be done, no matter the mood. They wake up and stick to the plan. They don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, is this part of the plan? And that mindset is what separates progress from procrastination. You can train that same mindset. You start small, decide what needs to be done today. Do it whether you feel inspired or not. Repeat that process. Over time, your emotions stop having so much power. You become the one driving, not being dragged. It's important to remember that instant gratification is fueled by feelings. It pulls you in by making something feel urgent or rewarding right now. But most of those urges take you further from your actual goals. They waste time, drain energy, and leave you feeling stuck. When you act on goals instead of feelings, you stop falling for those traps. You pause, you think, you choose. That ability to pause and redirect your action is what changes everything. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. And the more you do it, the more your life starts moving in the right direction. Your goals were made by the best version of you. That version was clear-minded. It knew what mattered. But your feelings come from the version of you that wants relief, that wants comfort, that wants to avoid stress. So the real conflict is between who you're trying to become and who you've always been. Every decision becomes a vote for one or the other. Choose wisely. The person who decides based on goals is building something that lasts. The one who follows feelings is just chasing moments. Only one of them ends the day proud of how they lived. When your actions line up with your goals, everything starts to click. You stop needing motivation to carry you. You stop feeling guilty for not doing enough. You stop wasting time wondering what's wrong, because you know what needs to be done, and you do it, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching. That builds confidence like nothing else. Not talk, not hype, just real choices made one after another, grounded in what you want for your future. That's how progress compounds. That's how discipline becomes natural. It starts with one honest decision at a time. If you keep letting your emotions decide your actions, you'll stay stuck. You'll keep chasing what feels good instead of what works. But if you make a decision right now that your goals matter more, everything changes. You stop overthinking. You stop delaying. You start doing. You show up. You follow through. You get things done. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because you made a choice to live on purpose. That's the truth about instant gratification. It wants to lead you off track. But you don't have to follow. You can decide differently. Starting today. Number 6. Pick the hard task and finish it right now. Every day gives you 2 options. Do what's easy or do what's necessary. The easy task feels good for a few minutes, but it doesn't take you anywhere. The hard task, that's the one that builds your life. That's the one that makes you stronger. And the only way to grow is to stop avoiding what challenges you. Pick the hard task and finish it right now. Don't wait. Don't negotiate. Don't give yourself time to back out. Just start. Do the work that's been sitting there waiting for you. That's where change begins. That's how you move forward. Most people carry around a list of things they've been putting off. Not because they're incapable, but because those things are hard. They require focus, discipline, discomfort, and honesty. That's why the easier tasks keep getting picked first. But that strategy doesn't build anything real. You end the day tired but unfulfilled. You were busy but nothing meaningful got done. The hard task is the one that matters most. The one you've been avoiding. That's where your growth is. That's the task that changes how you feel about yourself. That's the one you must stop running from. You build momentum by doing the hardest thing first. It sets the tone for everything else. When you finish something tough, you feel lighter, clearer, stronger. You stop doubting yourself. You start trusting your ability to face discomfort. And you prove to yourself that you're not here to avoid responsibility. You're here to meet it head on. That feeling of accomplishment you're looking for. It doesn't come from doing a bunch of easy things. It comes from doing the thing you didn't want to do and doing it anyway. That's where confidence comes from. That's where personal power grows. It's easy to scroll, check messages, clean up small things. Anything that lets you avoid the big thing. But deep down, you know the truth. You know what you're supposed to do. And every time you skip it, you feel a little more defeated. That feeling isn't because you're lazy. It's because you're out of alignment. You're choosing comfort over commitment. But the moment you flip that around and face the hard task, everything starts to shift. It won't feel great at first, but push through it. Push past the resistance. That's where the breakthrough lives. Action ends anxiety. Procrastination only makes it louder. When something feels big or overwhelming, your brain will try to avoid it. But avoiding it makes it worse. The weight grows. The stress builds. But once you actually engage with the work, the fear starts to fall apart. You begin to see that the task isn't as bad as you imagined. You start moving. You get into a rhythm. You stop overthinking and start producing. And once it's done, you feel clear. You feel grounded. That's the reward of finishing something difficult. That's how you regain peace. The habit of finishing hard things will separate you from everyone who starts and never completes. It teaches you grit. It teaches you patience. And more than anything, it builds integrity. You said you'd do something, and you did it. Not when it was convenient, not when it was easy, but when it mattered. That kind of follow-through builds a solid foundation. It's not about being talented. It's about being reliable. To yourself, to your word, to your future. You don't need to be fast. You just need to be done. That's how you develop inner strength. Start where you are. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Pick the hardest thing on your list and begin. One step, one part, 1 hour. The moment you take action, you interrupt the old pattern. You stop feeding the habit of delay. And every time you do that, you become someone new. Someone who handles things. Someone who doesn't hide from responsibility. That identity gets stronger each time you follow through. It becomes easier to choose the hard thing because you've proven to yourself that you can finish it. Discipline doesn't grow by thinking. It grows by doing. The hard task will test you. It will push you. It won't reward you right away, but it will shape you into someone who doesn't break under pressure. The world respects people who show up when it's hard. You respect yourself more when you do the same. That's how self-worth is earned, not by talking, but by doing. One hard task at a time. One commitment at a time. That's how you gain strength, without needing anyone else to tell you you're on the right path. You already know. Instant gratification tells you to avoid pressure. It tells you to take a break, do it later, pick something easier. But that path leaves you empty. It gives you relief now and regret later. That's the trade. And the longer you make it, the more stuck you feel. But the moment you choose to face the difficult thing, you break the cycle. You take back your power. You stop letting urges run your day. You start making decisions based on progress, not on ease. That's how you rebuild. That's how you move forward. You don't need a new plan. You don't need more inspiration. You need to pick the hard task and finish it right now. Stop running. Stop delaying. Go straight to the thing that scares you, challenges you, pushes you. Finish it. Stand up and complete what matters. Once it's done, you'll feel lighter. You'll walk different. You'll think clearer, because you won't be carrying guilt. You'll be carrying momentum. That's the truth about instant gratification. It's a lie. It gives nothing real, but finishing the hard thing that gives you everything you've been looking for. Do it now. Number 7. Hold yourself back when the urge shows up fast. The fastest way to lose control of your life is to act on every urge the moment it shows up. That feeling, the quick impulse to grab your phone, quit your task, or escape the pressure. It shows up fast and loud, and most people follow it without thinking. But you have to stop and hold yourself back. Just because the urge shows up quickly doesn't mean it's right. Most of the time, that urge is a trap, a shortcut, a distraction in disguise. If you don't slow down, it'll lead you right into the same habits that have kept you stuck. Self-control isn't about being perfect. It's about building awareness, and awareness starts by catching that moment where your brain says, do this now. That's the moment that matters. That's where the decision is made. When the urge comes in fast, you have to slow your body down. Breathe, think. You don't have to react. You can observe the urge without obeying it. That space between the impulse and the action, that's where your strength grows. That's where maturity begins. That's how you stop being led by your urges and start being led by your choices. It's not easy to stop yourself in the heat of the moment. Your brain is wired to chase pleasure and avoid pain. So when the urge comes in fast, your body wants to follow. That's why you train it. You practice stopping. You teach yourself to pause. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't need to check that notification. You don't need to say that thing. You don't need to run from discomfort. That urge will try to convince you it's urgent, but it's not. It's just familiar, and you don't have to live by what's familiar anymore. Holding yourself back builds something deep inside you. It creates a sense of ownership over your behavior. You stop feeling like a passenger in your own life. You start feeling like a leader. You're no longer reacting to every pull, every craving, every small trigger. You're choosing. And with every choice, your confidence grows. You realize that you are not your urges. You're the one who watches them, manages them, and decides whether or not they deserve attention. That's where real freedom is found. Not in doing what you want all the time, but in choosing what actually matters. The urge often shows up strongest when you're doing something important, right when you're about to focus, right when you're making progress. Here it comes. The thought, the pull, the temptation to escape. That's how resistance works. It distracts you just as you begin to step into something meaningful. And that's why it's so important to stay alert. Don't let those fast urges knock you off course. Recognize them, call them out, and then stay with your plan. Refuse to move just because it feels tempting. You have something to finish. Stay with it until it's done. It helps to understand what the urge is trying to avoid. Sometimes it's boredom, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's responsibility. Whatever it is, don't run from it. Sit with it, face it. You don't have to solve everything right away. You just have to stop letting the fast urges make the decisions for you. The more you resist them, the weaker they become, and the stronger you become. That's how habits are rewired, not in massive changes overnight, but in small moments where you chose not to give in. That's how you reclaim your focus and your time. There is a certain pride that comes from resisting what you used to follow. You know that feeling when you held yourself back, when you waited, paused, and didn't react. That's growth. That's a win. Most people won't notice, but you will. You'll feel it. You'll walk with it. That's how discipline gets built. Quietly, consistently. one small refusal at a time. The urge might be loud, but your decision can be louder. You don't need to explain it to anyone. Just follow through. Quiet resistance is powerful. It's the kind of power that builds a different life. Not every thought deserves a reaction. Not every feeling needs to be followed. When the urge hits hard and fast, you don't need to wrestle with it. Just see it, acknowledge it, and let it pass. This takes practice, but it works. You'll start to notice the patterns, the times when you're most vulnerable, the triggers that always show up, and once you see them, you can plan around them. You can hold steady. You can choose your next move. That's how you break free from the loop of instant gratification, by choosing not to play the game at all. It's easy to think that saying yes to an urge is a small thing, but those small things add up. Every yes becomes a pattern, and patterns shape your future. So make the small no count. Say no to the scroll. Say no to the impulse. Say no to the thing that gives a fast reward but no real progress. You're not missing out, you're gaining control. And every time you hold yourself back, you gain a little more of it. That control is what builds strong habits. And strong habits are what carry you toward the life you want. The truth about instant gratification is that it feels good right now but costs you later. The urge always comes in fast, but you don't have to follow. You can pause, you can hold steady, you can stay focused on what matters. That's the power you have. Not someday, not when it's easier, but right now, that's the moment that counts. And that's where your life starts to change. Not in the big decisions, but in the small ones you make every day when no one's watching. When the urge shows up fast, hold yourself back and win your moment. Number 8. Turn off the comfort and sit with the urge. The urge to escape shows up when comfort becomes your standard. When something feels too hard, too quiet, too slow, your mind reaches for the easiest exit. That's the pattern most people live in. They reach for their phones, food, noise, or distractions. The second discomfort appears. But if you want to grow, you have to do something different. You have to turn off the comfort and sit with the urge. Not run, not numb it. Just sit with it, feel it, let it rise, let it pass. That's how you stop letting urges control your direction and start taking control back. It won't feel good at first. Sitting with an urge is uncomfortable by nature. That's the point. You'll feel restless. You'll want to move, to click, to distract yourself. But you must resist. Not because discomfort is fun, but because it's necessary. Avoiding discomfort has never moved anyone forward. Growth is found on the other side of that tension. The more you sit with it, the more you begin to see it clearly. You start to understand your patterns, and the more aware you become, the easier it gets to make a new choice, one that actually supports your future. Turning off comfort means removing the things that make escaping too easy. Put the phone away, shut down the browser, turn off the background noise, then sit with yourself. Let the silence talk to you. Most people never do this, which is why they never change. You can't fix what you won't face, and you can't grow if you're always running. There's nothing wrong with you for having urges, but there is something wrong with letting them run your life. The minute you choose to sit still and feel what you usually avoid, you start taking back your power. The mind will push back. It will say, just 5 minutes. It will remind you of easier options. That's when you need to stay firm. You've been down that road. You know how it ends. You feel regret, frustration, and wasted time. So this time, do something new. Don't escape. Don't explain. Just stay present. Let the tension exist without giving it a response. This is training. And like any kind of training, it takes practice. You're building mental strength. You're becoming someone who doesn't chase every urge. You're becoming someone who knows how to sit still and take control. There's clarity on the other side of discomfort, but most people never reach it because they avoid the process. They check out before they break through. If you can stay seated in the middle of that urge, if you can breathe, wait, and feel, it eventually loses its grip. And you'll notice something important. You didn't need comfort to survive. You didn't need to give in. You were capable the whole time. That realization is powerful. It rewires how you see yourself. You stop feeling like a victim to your impulses and start seeing yourself as the one calling the shots. Every time you sit with the urge and don't react, you're building discipline. Not in theory, but in action. Not with loud declarations, but with quiet choices. This is how you rebuild your attention, your focus, and your self-respect. You don't need to eliminate the urge. You just need to stop obeying it. That's where the shift happens. That's where the noise starts to fade. Sitting with the urge allows you to experience it without letting it drive your behavior. And once you've done it once, you can do it again. It gets easier, not because the urge is weaker, but because you are stronger. Instant gratification only survives when comfort is your priority. The moment you turn off comfort, you cut off its oxygen. You stop feeding the need for constant stimulation. And that stillness opens the door to something better. Clarity, focus, peace. Not the short-term kind, but the deep kind that comes from knowing you are no longer owned by your urges. You are no longer controlled by what's easy. You are showing up differently. That quiet strength begins to show in your work, your presence, and your life. And it all starts with the decision to sit still and not escape. You won't always win the moment, but that's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Some urges will be louder than others. Some days you'll feel more tempted. But if you keep showing up and practicing stillness, you'll notice something start to shift. You'll stop needing so much stimulation. You'll stop jumping from task to task. You'll become more focused and more grounded. And over time, that strength builds momentum. It becomes part of who you are. Someone who can sit in the storm without panicking. Someone who stays still when everything says run. The world tells you to chase comfort, but comfort doesn't build character. Comfort doesn't create results. Comfort doesn't teach you anything new. Sitting with the urge does. Turning off the noise does. Choosing to feel instead of flee. That's where growth begins. And when you make this a habit, your life changes. Not all at once, but day by day, moment by moment. You'll begin to trust yourself in a deeper way. Not because things got easier, but because you got stronger. And that strength can't be taken away. It's earned in silence, in stillness, in discomfort. That's the real reward. The truth about instant gratification is simple. It hides behind urgency and comfort. It shows up fast and promises relief, but it never gives you what you truly need. It only delays your growth. It only keeps you stuck. If you want real progress, you have to do what most won't. Turn off the comfort. Don't run. Don't reach. Just sit. Let the urge rise and let it pass. Feel it without reacting. And remind yourself, you are not your impulses. You are your choices. And in that moment when you sit still, you choose something stronger than comfort. You choose growth. Number 9, build your life slow and stop rushing for nothing. Most people rush through life as if something big is waiting for them around every corner. They jump from one idea to the next, chasing the next big thing, trying to get results faster than anyone else. But nothing strong is ever built that way. Building a meaningful life takes time. It takes patience. You have to slow down and do the work that matters. You can't rush maturity. You can't hurry discipline. You can't force wisdom. The truth is, rushing doesn't make things better. It makes them fragile. What comes fast often leaves faster. What's built slow tends to last. When you rush, you miss the lessons. You skip over the details that shape your character. You start expecting results without putting in the real effort. And when they don't come as fast as you want, you quit. That's the trap of instant gratification. It makes you believe everything should be fast and easy. But that mindset will steal years from you. You'll spend more time starting over than moving forward. The people who get far in life aren't the fastest. They're the ones who kept going when everyone else got tired of waiting. They trusted the slow climb. You have to stop expecting big changes to happen overnight. Real change is slow. It's quiet. It builds in the background while you stay consistent. You won't always see the progress right away, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Every day you stick to the plan, you're building something. You're laying bricks. One task, one habit, one decision at a time. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And that's the only kind of progress that lasts. Quick wins come and go, but the kind of growth that changes your life permanently comes from sticking with it long after the feeling is gone. You've been taught to chase speed, fast results, quick success, immediate comfort. But all of that comes with a cost. You trade depth for speed. You trade quality for quantity. You end up rushing to a life that doesn't even feel right. That's why you need to slow down. Not stop, just slow down. Get clear on what actually matters to you and build toward that piece by piece. Stop rushing to impress people who aren't even paying attention. Stop trying to arrive at a finish line that doesn't exist. You don't need to move faster. You need to move with purpose. There's a difference between being productive and being in a hurry. One builds you up, the other burns you out. You can be focused without being frantic. You can make progress without panic. You don't need to sprint. You need to be steady. That's what creates freedom. That's what gives you peace. When you accept that building your life will take time, you start to relax into the work. You stop looking for shortcuts and start looking for better habits. You stop chasing the next big thing and start improving what you already have. That's how you build something solid. The pressure to move fast doesn't come from your goals. It comes from fear. Fear that you're behind. Fear that someone else is doing better. But that fear is lying to you. There is no race. You are not late. You're on your own timeline. And the moment you stop comparing and start focusing, you regain your power. Every minute you spend rushing is a minute you could have used to build with clarity. You don't need to catch up. You need to commit. Pick your pace, choose your direction, and stay with it. That's how people get results that last. Building slowly gives you the space to make better decisions. When you're in a rush, you cut corners. You ignore red flags. You take paths that aren't yours. But when you slow down, you can actually think. You can course correct. You can stay honest. That's how you avoid regret. That's how you stop wasting time on things that never really mattered. Life isn't about doing everything quickly. It's about doing the right things carefully. One intentional step beats 10 rushed ones every time. You don't need to win today. You just need to be better than you were yesterday. The hardest part of building slow is being okay with delayed reward. You won't get applause for sticking with something long-term. No one will celebrate you for doing the work quietly. But that's where strength is built. That's where mastery lives. When you stop chasing recognition and start chasing discipline, you change your entire path. You stop needing validation and start trusting the process. And eventually the results will show. Maybe not today, maybe not this month, but they will come. And when they do, they'll be real. Not because they came fast, but because they came from effort. There is no benefit in rushing through things just to say you finished. Doing something halfway is just a slower way of quitting. And chasing 10 goals at once usually ends with none of them getting done. Pick one thing, give it your full attention, and move at the speed that allows for quality. That's how things grow. That's how you build something worth being proud of. You don't need to keep up with anyone else. You don't need to do it all now. You need to stay focused and stay patient. That's how your life starts to rise. The truth about instant gratification is that it trades your future for a feeling. It tells you to rush because it knows that speed prevents reflection. But once you slow down, you see things clearly. You stop falling for the same tricks. You start moving smarter. And over time, you build a life that can actually hold you. Not a house of cards, but a foundation you can stand on. That's what you want. A life that feels right, not just looks good. And the only way to build that is to stop rushing and start working slow every single day. Number 10, grow the strength to wait while others give in. It takes real strength to wait, not because waiting is complicated, but because it's uncomfortable. While others take the shortcut, you hold the line. While others give in to the urge, you stay focused on the bigger picture. And in those moments, it can feel lonely. You'll wonder if you're missing out. You'll question if the wait is worth it. But deep down, you know it is. You know the reward you're chasing can't be bought with ease. It's earned through patience, through discipline, through being willing to stand still while the rest of the world rushes toward the wrong things. Most people can't sit with delay. They want results now, feelings now, answers now. So they jump, they quit, they move too fast. But when you build the strength to wait, you're choosing something more powerful than speed. You're choosing to trust the process. You're choosing to outlast the noise. That's a rare kind of strength, the kind that doesn't just show up in your work, but in your life. in how you carry yourself, in how you make decisions, in how you hold back when everything in you wants to react. That's where discipline becomes real. When you resist the pull of immediate rewards, you start to gain something more valuable: control. You're no longer living moment to moment, emotion to emotion. You've created space between feeling and action. That space is everything. It's where you think clearly. It's where you stop yourself from doing something just because it feels good right now. That pause is a muscle, and like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. Every time you wait while others give in, you grow. You sharpen your mind. You settle into purpose. You become someone others can't easily distract. Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing even when it takes time to see the outcome. It means staying on track while distractions show up dressed as opportunities. It means committing to your values even when you feel tempted to take the easy road. And in that quiet resistance, you become powerful. You become the kind of person who can stay grounded when the crowd runs off course. You won't always feel strong in the moment, but every time you make the hard choice to wait, you reinforce the identity of someone who finishes what they start. You will see people around you quitting halfway, jumping from one thing to the next, chasing quick wins and shallow results. Let them. That's not your path. You're building something real. You're creating a foundation, and that takes time. It takes silence. It takes choosing not to react when things don't go your way. That level of focus is uncommon, but that's what separates the ones who talk about change from the ones who live it. You don't need to announce your discipline. You show it by how you hold steady while others keep starting over again and again. There's a certain pride that only comes from waiting, not passive waiting, but active, focused, intentional waiting. Knowing what you want and choosing not to settle for something that just feels good right now. That kind of self-control builds confidence. You begin to trust your timing. You stop comparing. You stop needing to explain your pace because you know exactly why you're doing it. You know what you're working toward. And that quiet certainty makes your path clearer. You stop chasing approval. You start chasing excellence. That's how strength grows, not by doing more, but by doing what's right, even when it's slow. Delaying gratification doesn't mean you enjoy discomfort. It means you value your future more than your current craving. That mindset is rare, but it's powerful. It allows you to build habits that serve you instead of sabotage you. It teaches you to pause and think, to weigh the outcome, not just the moment. That awareness leads to smarter choices, better days, stronger results. And the more you live like that, the more natural it becomes. You'll notice the urge to give in gets quieter, not because life got easier, but because you trained yourself to want something more meaningful. Strength isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's shown in how you behave when no one is watching, in the decisions you make when no one's clapping, in the moments where you feel tempted and no one would blame you for giving in but you don't. That's real power. That's the kind of person who earns trust, earns success, earns freedom. Not all at once, but over time. You don't build that by acting on every impulse. You build it by choosing what matters, even when it costs you comfort. That's a decision you make again and again, one moment at a time. There will always be a quicker way, a softer option, a reason to stop. But you don't need to take it. You have the ability to choose the path that serves you long term. You have the capacity to hold yourself to a higher standard. You don't have to wait until you feel strong to act strong. You act now. You practice waiting when the pressure builds. You train your willpower by not reacting to every desire. That's how patience becomes your advantage. It gives you edge in a world that trades power for pleasure every single day. The truth about instant gratification is that it gives you nothing that lasts. It promises ease and delivers emptiness. But if you grow the strength to wait while others give in, you win something deeper. You win self-respect. You win clarity. You win control over your life. Not just in the big moments, but in the small, private choices that shape who you are. That's where change happens. That's how you rise. Not by doing what feels good, but by doing what's right, even if it's quiet. Even if it's hard, especially when no one else is willing to wait. If you really want to change your life, stop chasing what feels good for a moment and start choosing what's right for your future. Instant gratification will always be there, waiting to pull you off track, but you don't have to follow it. Build the discipline to wait, build the strength to finish, and most of all, build the mindset to do what's needed, even when it's not easy. You're not here to live average. You're here to grow, improve, and lead yourself better every day. Start now, because the longer you wait, the more it costs. Choose better, starting today.